Hello, I'm Dr. Sushruta. So, whenever a patient comes to us who is pregnant, she already has visualized what is going to happen after 9 months. And what we all want to see is a healthy mother with a bonny baby and born by a normal vaginal birth. So, that is the plan. That is the default option that most people want. Now, all I can say is yes. As obstetricians, we also want every patient to deliver vaginally or normally, as it is called in our country. This normal delivery is possible in certain settings where certain important criteria are fulfilled. And one of the most important criteria is that this pregnancy should be a low risk pregnancy. There should not be any risk to the mother or the baby in the process of labor and giving birth vaginally, because as we all know, neither the doctor nor the patient is willing to accept any complication arising out of labor and delivery. We do not want a compromised child, and we do not want the mother's health to be also affected. Therefore, cesarean delivery or a cesarean section is a very safe and in some cases the best possible alternative that we can offer the patient to deliver the baby in a healthy manner out into this outside world, so that the child comes out in the world with the path of least resistance and with the minimal possible damage. The indications or the reasons why sometimes a baby needs to be born by cesarean section. The world over, earlier the cesarean birth rate was about 35%, but nowadays it has gone up because there are so many different reasons why a woman, presumably normal pregnancy, is going into the high risk category. There are two reasons. One is maternal, that is related to the mother, and the other is fetal, that is related to the baby. Now, what are the reasons why a baby cannot come out through the vaginal route? The most important reason that is cited for cesarean sections, which is a maternal indication, is CPD, that is cephalopelvic disproportion. Cephalus is the head of the baby, pelvis is the mother's birth canal, and whenever there is a disproportion between the mother's birth canal and the baby, there is obviously going to be a mechanical obstruction. And this mechanical obstruction is not going to allow a baby to be pushed out from that birth canal. So, the reasons why this can be is because of various things. One is the stature of the mother. So, in our country, we take 5 feet as the cutoff point, and anything below 5 feet we call a short-statured patient, and we assume that such a patient's pelvis will be a little narrower and not as broad. Even though size 0 is very desirable in the fashion industry, when it comes to giving birth vaginally, we expect a woman with a broader pelvis or broader hips, which would tell us that the birth canal would be large enough for the baby to pass through. So any kind of CPD, because the baby head is big or the mother is obese, the BMI of the mother is higher and age is higher. So these kind of patients might present with a mechanical obstruction to delivery of the baby. And at 36-37 weeks, when we evaluate whether the baby's head has got fixed into the pelvis, if we feel that the baby's head is not engaged and it is still floating, we suspect that this baby may not deliver vaginally, and we start priming or preparing the patient for a cesarean section. Now, the other complication is if this pregnancy is complicated by either hypertension or diabetes or any other medical conditions, which will basically not allow the mother to go through this 7 or 8 hours or a prolonged labor satisfactorily or safely. And sometimes in these conditions, either the baby is growth retarded or it is a very large baby. So then the fetal factor also comes into the picture. So then we have to think about that also. Now, there may be other problems such as placental problems. As we all know, placenta is the organ which is attached to the mother inside the uterus, and that is the place where the baby got implanted or attached to the mother. And the blood exchange takes place from the mother to the baby through the placenta and through the umbilical cord into the baby. If the placenta is low-lying, or what we call placenta previa, if it is low-lying, what happens is it starts separating at the beginning of labor and then bleeding can happen. So we do not expect any bleeding, because once the placenta starts separating either prematurely or suddenly as an abruptio placentae, that is abruption, where a normally situated placenta can just separate and the patient may start bleeding. Now this can be extremely life-threatening for the mother as well as the baby, and therefore risk of any of this happening, we take the decision for a cesarean section, and in fact time becomes a very important factor in these cases. So if we already know that the placenta is low-lying, we can basically counsel the patient that she may not go through with a normal delivery. And if there is placental insufficiency, if it is a post-dated pregnancy, that is 40 weeks have happened, the due date has elapsed and the patient has not gone in labor, and in this case what we see is whether there is a concomitant CPD also, and that the cervix, that is the opening of the uterus, whether it is favorable or not to induce labor after 40 weeks, or whenever we want to do a programmed delivery in view of the safety of the mother. In case we want to deliver the patient before 40 weeks because there is some medical illness or there is some problem with the baby, then we need to see whether if we induce labor, is the cervix going to open up, is it soft, or it is very firm and tightly closed and the baby's head is not engaged. Now, after 40 weeks, what starts happening, what we call post-datism, that is once the patient has crossed her due date, what happens is the baby is already kind of tired out and the placenta is not functioning to its optimum level. So the baby is already in a compromised position, and if the cervix is unfavorable, or if we try inducing labor and she cannot go into labor, then it is always better to do a cesarean and remove this baby. These are some of the reasons. If it is a twin pregnancy, if it is a IVF pregnancy with its concomitant risks, then these are some instances where we start counseling the patient for a cesarean delivery. Sometimes if it is a premature labor, or the patient has gone early labor, she has drained out her liquor, there is premature rupture of membranes and it becomes a dry labor, then in the interest of the baby, because the baby can get infected if you keep the baby for more than 24 hours inside after the rupture of membranes, then also we need to take the baby out by cesarean section. So these are some of the maternal complications. Sometimes we just have to step in. Even though labor is progressing very normally, sometimes we just need to go from here to there because the child has obstructed and the decision is taken to abandon the trial of vaginal delivery and opt for a cesarean. Now, what are the indications, fetal indications for cesarean section? If it is a very big baby or a very small baby, both these babies will not have a very smooth passage. If it is twins, as I said, if there are loops of cord around the baby's neck which will prevent the baby from coming down, if the presentation of the baby is not vertex or cephalic. So what is vertex? Vertex is the baby's head which is in a flexed condition. Flexed position is like this, and if it is in an extended position, which is baby's head is extended looking upwards, then that diameter will not basically go through the largest diameter of the mother's pelvis, which is 9.8 centimeters. So if the presenting diameter becomes more than 10 centimeters, unlikely that this baby will go. So therefore, all presentations like a breech presentation, compound presentation, or a brow face presentations, all these at term, at 36 to 37 weeks, if they are recognized, then we actually tell the patient that this may not go through. In spite of all that, some people want to go through a trial, but we do that with consent and explaining all the complications that can happen with it. Lastly, let us talk about meconium. What is meconium stained liquor, or a distressed baby. So in the process of a normal vaginal delivery, when everything is supposedly going normally, what happens is sometimes when we rupture the membranes, the amniotic fluid is stained with meconium, that is, it is green in color. So what is this? It is nothing but the baby passing motions. Okay, and why does the baby pass motions? Whenever the baby is distressed, then the anal sphincter basically relaxes and motions come out. And that is the reason why we say that the baby is distressed and possibly compromised in some way. There may be several reasons why this happens. And sometimes we can wait, we can delay labor, we can give some relaxants, give it time to see whether the baby's heartbeat settles. But if on CTG, that is the monitor, the baby's heart rate consistently shows dips post contraction below say 120 or even 100 and it doesn't recover, then this baby needs to be removed quickly through cesarean section rather than 2 hours later through a vaginal birth. So we do not want a very distressed baby. The reason, and in spite of this, in spite of the fact that labor is one of the most difficult journeys that the baby undertakes at the beginning of its life, we do deliver vaginally, but it has to be done in a good institute where there is every facility to resuscitate the baby properly, and there is a baby's doctor, that is a pediatrician and neonatologist, standing in the labor room when we are going to do the delivery. At any given point when we think that no, this is not going to happen, then you must trust your doctor to take the best possible decision for you. Trust and faith is very important. So I wish you all the best. God bless. I hope I have addressed most of your questions. Thank you.